From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks, ETX rocks.
Hey guys, Boston Chris here with the latest episode of the ETX ROCKS Show, the #1 resource for independent music in Northeast Texas. And it's episode 313, featuring somebody I just heard about literally like 3 weeks ago at the Texas Regional Radio Music Awards. Thank you, Dylan Steen, for our tickets, by the way. I appreciate that very much. But this guy was on stage at the awards, blowing my mind out with a song called Bourbon Whiskey, which unfortunately we can't share yet, but hopefully in the future.
Well, that's what we're putting out next. So,
so he's going to have to come back.
Yeah,
which is cool.
And I'd love to. And thank you for having me.
No problem.
On
Thank
this.
you for coming.
Yeah.
First time on the show. Again, 313 episodes. And man, what a sound you have, man.
Thank you.
Very, very versatile.
Yeah, I mean, I love all kinds of music, and I think it shows in my songwriting.
Oh, yeah.
And the songs that I've recorded on this EP. But, I mean, growing up in Del Rio, I mean, everything from, mariachi music to old traditional country to Texas red dirt country and, of course, rock and roll and everything.
Yeah,
else.
rock and roll 90s, 90s country, rockabilly.
So it was an interesting sort of, mixture of genres, that I grew up on.
And I mean, the song that we heard you sing at the awards, just the opening line with your voice, it just took me back to like Marty Robbins and that era of music back in those days. And I'm a huge classic country, traditional country kind of guy. So.
Thank you. Well, I think with that particular, people that hadn't heard that song yet, it's definitely a traditional country song, and I think I really started to want to write songs like that and play songs like that when I'd started collecting vinyl records.
Mm-hmm.
When I was, about getting out of high school, and inevitably a lot of the records that I was collecting were old traditional country records because those were kind of the cheap ones that you could get at record stores, and so I was getting these records for like $3-4, and I was getting like all these cool like Ray Price albums and stuff. And so, and him, in particular, is just that voice is something that I was always really attracted to. The way he delivered, just the lyrics, and Frank Sinatra was a great example of just the way he delivered the lines.
Yeah, it's all in the delivery.
And the timbre in their voices and stuff. So those were two artists that I tried to sort of, emulate vocally when it comes to that.
And of course, Ray Price is originally from about 45 minutes from where you're sitting.
Well, oh really? I didn't know that.
Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
It's right up the road.
Well, I'll tell you a little something about my hometown, Del Rio. You got Blondie Calderon, who is originally from Del Rio, who's a legend there. Used to tour with Ray Price.
Wow.
Dating back into the 60s and stuff. Yeah. And he played piano for a lot of the stuff that they recorded and did live. And so there's pictures. Blondie had started up this restaurant in Del Rio. It's still in business today. It's called Memos, and you can go there and have the best enchiladas whatever you want.
I don't want to get too far off track. He did bring his gorgeous guitar today. William is going to play us not one but 3 songs today, and the first song is called "Leaving Town."
Yeah.
So tell us again a little bit about the song and how it came to be.
That song is one of those songs that it's kind of about having to make sacrifices in order to pursue music and do this for a living. And everybody knows that it's not an easy thing to want to do this for a living, and it requires a lot of traveling and a lot of being away from home. And so that song in particular,
relationships can take a back burner.
Exactly, and that's kind of what that song's about, is me sort of having to pick, you know, a certain avenue to go down, whether and that's the chorus of the song is the highway can be dangerous, but it can be just as deadly to settle down. And I think there's a lot of truth in that.
Wow.
Because as a dreamer, you know, as a aspiring musician, it's kind of like either whatever, regardless of what you do, you know, it's kind of
it's catch-22.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
So that's what Leaving Town's about.
Very cool.
You know, and I've had a lot of my friends that do the same thing that I do tell me that song really hits them.
Yeah.
Because everybody can relate to that in some sort of ways.
I like it. It's a great song, man. My favorite two songs are both going to be played today, and my favorite one's Bourbon Whiskey, but the two that we could choose from, Leaving Town and I Think I'm in Love, and he's going to play both of those today live on the show. Man, guys, I am super stoked to introduce to you guys for the first time in the ETX Rocks living room. The song's called Leaving Town by William Beckman. Y'all check it out.
I know this ain't what you wanna hear, but I'm afraid I just can't stick around. I can't stand the atmosphere in this town. It brings me down. So I'm gonna fill the truck with gasoline. Now that I've loaded up my stuff, it's time for me to chase a couple dreams before they rust and turn into red dust. The highway can be dangerous, I know, but it can be just as deadly to settle down. I'll let you know if my mind changes, but for now I'm leaving town. The past couple nights I've stayed up drinking. I guess I've been depressed, 'cause I'm sure you must be thinking that I'm selfish for leaving you alone like this. But this here guitar that I carry with me, she's the one you need to blame. She gets jealous when you kiss me, that's why I can't stay. She's making me go away. The highway can be dangerous, that's right, but it can be just as deadly to settle down. I'll let you know if my mind changes, baby, but for now I'm leaving town. A lack of commitment can be dangerous, but they say that it can be just as deadly to take a vow. I'll let you know if my heart changes, baby, but for now I'm leaving town. I know this ain't what you wanna hear, but I'm afraid I just can't stick around.
All right, so we are back again. It's episode 313. And when I found out William was actually going to be here, man, I think I scared my fiance a little bit because I was just like, he responded. We're good. He's going to be here. Because I knew Del Rio and Nashville are nowhere near East Texas.
No.
So, and your history is Del Rio, and now you're in Nashville. So then I get to thinking, well, if you look at a map, you could draw a line between Del Rio and Nashville, and Longview could conceivably be in the middle, somewhere. So I was like, maybe I can, like, talk him into it that way.
Yeah, no, and you know, I do spend a lot of time in Nashville, and not a lot of people know this, but I went to school there. I went to Belmont University, which is a music school.
They have a great music program at Belmont.
And I mean, and I'll tell you something. The education I received there was amazing, but what I really value from my experience at Belmont were all the cool people that I met, and I made so many friends that are incredibly talented in their own right, and it's kind of funny because I really don't have a lot of friends that play country music. A lot of them are like rappers and R&B artists, and
that's okay.
You know, well, no, it's cool because it keeps our friend group really kind of
diversified.
Yeah, you know, it's like we can all appreciate each other's art because we don't do that, you know.
Right.
So there's, I think it'd be a little bit competitive if I just hung around a bunch of guys that played country. You know?
Think about the collabs that can come out of that too, though.
And not even like you know, musicians. Like I got friends that are audio engineers, you know, that want to produce records and stuff, and friends that are photographers and everything in between too. So it's cool. You meet so many incredibly talented people in Nashville, specifically, you know, going to a small school like Belmont. It was amazing. And so that was the initial reason I went to Nashville. And yeah, so I still have a place out there, but I tour all over Texas, and I love it.
And originally, like I said, from South Texas, Del Rio.
Del Rio, right.
And, I mean, Texas and Tennessee, they're always kind of at each other's throats.
Well, you know, I think musically that sort of tension existed at one point, but I think not so much anymore. I think there's more of a bridge that I can see being built.
I agree.
Between the markets, you know, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I hope that I can help, you know, add to that, because I love Nashville, and I love my home state too, and I think that there's a lot that both sort of music scenes can have to offer to the mass public.
Yeah, and I think in order for there to be that bridge, both sides have to compromise a little bit, and at least we finally see some compromise.
Well, I think, you know, Nashville definitely had, and if you're talking about Nashville, like the Nashville sound, like what's current on like the top 20, you know, that might not be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. You know, there could be people that might argue the same thing with Texas music
Absolutely.
as well, you know?
Absolutely.
But the way I like to look at it is, regardless of whether you like a particular style of music or not, it teaches you something about your musical palate, right? So it's you know, kind of like when somebody cooks you, or you have a big famous chef cook you a big fancy meal, and you don't like Brussels sprouts. It's like, well, you learned something about yourself, right? You know, he taught you something. So even though you didn't like the Brussels sprouts, you walked away knowing something. He taught you something. Yeah. So it doesn't, you know, when you hear something you don't like, that's okay. At least you know you don't like, you know, bluegrass or something like that, or you know, and that's good, because that teaches you what to focus on, what you should be listening to, what you do like. You know, if you like hip hop, then great. You know, dive in. The beauty of living in today's world is that there's so much music to consume and not enough time. I mean, you can go on Spotify or iTunes or wherever and just go crazy.
It's never ending.
That's why, you know, if I ever have somebody that doesn't really like a particular song of mine, I'm like, it doesn't bother me, because I taught something about yourself regardless. So I kind of walked away with it.
What a great way of thinking about it.
You know, and so that's the way I like to view, you know, what I'm trying to say is I don't think that it's ever necessary to bash a particular genre of music. All you have to say is, like, you know, I just don't, that's not my cup of tea. Right.
It's like, I don't like Mexican food. That doesn't mean I'm going to say, man, Mexican food's the devil.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And so, that's the way I like to view music. Music's art, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's meant to be interpreted in different ways by different people.
Right.
And so, if bro country's not your thing, that's okay, because it is
Somebody's thing.
it is somebody's thing,
Right.
and you have to respect that, because we're all artists, and
Right.
no art is bad art.
Right.
So
Agreed. And one thing I did want to talk to you about is just listening to your record, man. There's so much diversification within your style.
Thank
As a young artist, I mean, you are a younger artist, so you'd think there'd be more mainstream sounds in your art, but I love the fact that you can bring a sound back from years ago and make it fresh again.
Thank you.
Within your own songwriting, which is modern songwriting. I mean, it's talking about things that we deal with today.
Right.
And all of these songs. My question is, as a young guy, where did this musical background come from to be able to branch out like that in your first record? What was your musical upbringing like?
It was all over the place, and I think that's why it's hard for me to answer that question. But you know, I definitely loved like what I consider like prime country, which is like 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
When I think of prime country, I think of George Strait, you know, that kind of Clint Black, that kind
Mhm.
of thing. That was always a lot I mean, that was a big part of what I was doing with like I Want to See You Tonight. You know, it's got like a Radney Foster kind of
Mhm.
90s thing going on. But then there's a song off of the record, it's the second song, it's called Midnight Moon, which for me, that was like kind of a weird Dave Matthews, John Mayer kind of thing
Mhm.
that I was trying to
Yeah.
sort of channel, and with that acoustic guitar lick. Then you have Give Me a Chance, which is, I guess I'm going down the whole list of the record, but
Which
Give
is
Me a
okay, please do.
Okay, well, we can do that. Give Me a Chance, I was trying to channel my inner Paul McCartney.
Okay.
So when I wrote that song, I was intentionally trying to figure out something that I thought would resemble like a Sgt. Pepper kind of vibe.
Wow.
And I'm not trying to compare myself to McCartney or anything, but that's just what I was thinking of when I was trying to come up with those lyrics and the chords and the way I delivered it. And then Please Dear is a song that I wrote when I was in Nashville, and that's just like a sweet sort of folk ballad kind of thing. I was trying to do something, you know, along the lines of James Taylor with that song.
Mm-hmm.
I Think I'm in Love, kind of the same. It's a country sort of slow song. And then Empty Pockets is another song in Dadgad, Midnight Moon's in Dadgad as well, which is a different tuning, which is really cool to experiment and play different chords and sort of figure out how to make things work up and down the neck. And that was a song that I thought was just really cool. I love the message of that song, which is basically like, hey, you know, I love you and we don't have any money, but, you know, that doesn't matter, because
Mhm.
as long as we have each other, then we're
Yeah.
good.
And you wrote every song on the record, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
every song. And then Leaving Town, I explained that one, and that one is really cool because, like I mentioned to you, Radney Foster produced that. Not only did he produce it, he's singing harmonies in the
Wow,
choruses. So when you hear that song, that is Radney Foster in the back.
And he's been a mentor of yours for a while. hasn't he?
Yes, definitely. I would not be doing this if it wasn't for Radney. So.
What's that like?
It's a lot of things. I mean, I feel very blessed and grateful to have him. It was also a little bit of pressure from time to time.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, there'd be times where I'd call him and be like, all right, well, send me what you've been working on. I'm like, oof, okay. You know, and you know, and he's always has good constructive criticism too, and that can sometimes be hard to, you know, constructive criticism, especially when it's with your songs, it can always be kind of a tough pill to swallow. But when Radney Foster's trying to critique your song, you better take it.
listen.
Yeah, you better take
yeah.
his advice, because he's one of the best
Yeah.
in the business. And so, no, but I'm incredibly grateful to have him in my life and to have him be such a caring mentor. You know.
Yeah, and for me, I'm a lot older than you. I bet you didn't know that. But you know, I was a huge fan of music as well growing up, and you know, some of the people I enjoyed a lot in the '90s, I've met and become close with
Mm-hmm.
here in the last couple of years. And I mean, I'll just be sitting there, you know, hanging out with somebody like that. And I'll be like, man, I'm here with Radney Foster.
Yeah.
You know, like, holy crap! Like 20 years ago, he was on the Grand Ole Opry, and you know, everybody knows his name. Like millions of people know who he is. Does that ever like enter your mind when you're just like hanging out as friends? Because it does
With
for
Radney?
me, dude. Yeah.
Well, I think at first when I was younger, it did.
Yeah.
Not so much now. Now he's more like an uncle to me.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and so whenever we talk on the phone, I mean, like we spoke for about an hour and a half this morning. You know, and
It's like you have to go from fan to friend, and
yeah. I'll tell you a funny story if you want to
I
hear a
would love
funny
to hear it,
story
yeah, yeah.
of when the first time I met Radney. I was probably 16 or 17. I was in high school, and I went to high school in Del Rio, and my one of my teachers was childhood friends with Radney.
Okay.
Okay, and also happens to be really good friends with my dad. They play poker, you know, every other week.
wow, okay,
Okay, and so, and his name's John Wardlaw, and John is a character, man. He's super cool. It's also kind of weird having like my dad's really good friend, because he's the kind of guy to like, you know, pick on me, like, you know, really kind of, but he was also my teacher, so when we were in school, like, it was kind of different. But there was this one time, I guess Radney was in town for something, and he was visiting the high school, and Mr. Wardlaw comes, you know, I'm walking down the hall, and he comes up to me and says, hey, what are you doing right now? Like, where are you headed? I said, well, I'm going to fourth period history class. I was like, why? He's like, okay, because Radney is here at the high school, and he's going to stop by my class and just kind of poke his head in and say hello, and I want you to be here, and I want you to meet him. So if you're going to be in history class down the hall, you know, I'm going to go and pull you out in the middle of class so that, you know, you can go introduce yourself. I said, oh my gosh, amazing, you know, and I was so excited. And so I go to history class, and there's a little sliver of a window about that wide, and I sat right by the door, and so there's a window that wide, and I'm just I'm waiting for Mr. Wardlaw to come open the door, pull me out of class, and introduce me to Radney Foster, and that's all I was thinking about the entire time. Well, time goes by and goes by, and eventually the bell rings, and he never pulled me out, so I storm all the way down the hall, go back to his classroom. And I said, I thought you told me that you were going to introduce me to Radney Foster, and I was waiting and got my hopes up. And right then, I hear Radney's voice from behind. He's like, he's got a real deep voice. He's like, hey, John. And I froze, you know. And I turned around. Now, when I was in the history class, I was like mulling over in my head, like, what am I going to say? How am I going to introduce myself? Like, what am I going to tell him? And I had this whole thing figured out. And as soon as I turned around and I saw Radney face to face, all of that disappeared, and I couldn't say a word. Like, I was so tongue-tied. And that was the first time I met Red. I think I maybe got like 2 words out, and then, you know, I met him, and then when I walked away, I was like, oh my God, like I totally screwed that up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't but a couple months later, he was back in town for something, and I got a chance to like really sit down and talk to him, and you know, he asked me what I wanted to do, and I told him that I wanted to do what he did. You know, I wanted to write songs, and I wanted to be an artist too, and I wanted to sing. And
so you're 16, 17 years old at this time.
about 16.
How long did you know from then that you wanted to be a songwriter? Like, was it always there?
It was always there, you know. And I played in a cover band when I was in high school with my friends, and we played, you know, classic rock and country. Stuff like that, but we were a cover band. We didn't write any of our own material, and so it got to a point where I realized, well, if we want to sort of make a wave or do anything or actually do this professionally, we have to come up with our own stuff.
Yep.
You know. And so it dawned on me around that time, and that was around the time that Radney sort of entered my life and encouraged me to write songs, and I really didn't know how to. And he told me to just sit down and write about anything and everything. And he told me to write 100 songs. And at that time, I was like, 100 songs? How am I ever going to do that? And he told me, write 100 songs. And if you write 100 songs, and by, you know, the next time I come to Del Rio, you got 100 songs, I'll take you seriously. That's what he told me. I said, okay. And I never saw him for about another year. And in that year, I wrote 100 songs. And by the time he came back, he said, did you write 100 songs like I told you? I said, yes. Yes, sir. And he's like, are any of them good? And I said, no. He's like, that was the point.
Yeah.
you gotta do it, So that was, he taught me the work ethic. He taught me that if you want to do this for a living, you have to eat, breathe, and live songs. It's not, it is a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
To be a
Takes you back
songwriter
to
is
the
not,
beginning.
not only did he teach me how to be a songwriter, he taught me the responsibilities that come along with the job.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you to Radney for that.
And, he mentioned earlier a couple of things that really stood out to me, how smart you are with your songs. Like when you're sitting down, you actually have a plan in mind sometimes before you even start.
Yeah.
Like I want to write this like McCartney. I want to write this like Dave Matthews. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. And
so what's that like? I mean, are you just are you being
sometimes
inspired and then you're like, hey,
sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it's like that. Other times I have no idea where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like just pulling a thread, and you just kind of see where it leads. And those end up being really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one way to write a song.
What do you like? What do you like better?
I don't think I have a particular way I like doing it. I think that the unpredictability of it all is what keeps me interested. I think if I had a routine, it'd get somewhat boring for me.
Right.
So, I've written hundreds of songs, and yet, at the end of the day, I really don't know how to write one because they've all come to me different ways, But it is, I think it's a little bit helpful when you do know when you do have some sort of destination in mind, whether that be lyrically or musically, give me a chance. I definitely wanted that to sound like a combination between the Beatles and really cool indie band. They're friends of mine in Nashville. They're called The Medium, and they have a really cool sound. And I remember thinking about my buddy Shane Perry, who's the singer of that band. I remember being influenced by him at that time. I wrote that song, and so it became what it was because I was thinking about those things when I wrote them.
Are you influenced by a lot of things?
Oh, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, growing up in Del Rio, a lot of Latin music too.
I don't mean just musically either. Like sometimes you can be influenced by TV shows or just somebody walking down the street.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and stories or things that you overhear.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of was meant when I said that you have to. I mean, it's like a state of mind that you have to put yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you hear something that is cool, or somebody might say something just like in everyday conversation, like that's a song. You'll hear that, like everybody in Nashville, like that's a song. Like you're always thinking in terms of songs. So
now for you, are you hearing hooks? Do you hear the stories? You know what I mean? Like, because we've talked to a lot of songwriters, and some songwriters only hear hooks.
That's what a lot of people seem to gravitate towards in Nashville is what they call a hook.
Right.
And I know what a hook is. I don't know if I've ever really based a song around a hook.
Right.
I think those things fall into place when at least in my writing process, what I've experienced. But yeah, a hook can be something that's like witty, like one of the
wordplay.
Yeah, exactly. One of the masters of that, I think, is Casey Musgraves.
Absolutely.
She's like incredibly witty with her lyricism, and I think
Curtis Grimes.
Yeah,
is a good
exactly.
Yep.
One of the best songwriters of this era is Jason Isbell, and he, is incredibly. I mean, he's got just such a way with words, and he's very descriptive. I heard Robert O'Keefe one time in an interview. I was watching a video of him, and he was saying something along the lines of like he considers himself to be a very descriptive songwriter, which is very true. I never thought about it, but Robert O'Keefe's not very poetic with his songs, but he's very descriptive, and he's a great storyteller.
The structure's not as important to him as a lot of
right.
other songs,
Because then you have somebody like Lyle Lovett, who's definitely and they're really good buddies, and he's a lot more poetic with the way he goes about his songwriting. So it's an interesting way to look at it, you know. And speaking of Jason Isbell, like I've also heard him compare songwriting to like a painter and a sculptor. You know, you think about, like he was talking about his songwriting process and how he considers himself more of a sculptor, and what he means by that is he usually ends up with a lot of ideas and he has to chisel away the excess to get to what he wants.
It's interesting.
Whereas a painter starts off with a blank canvas and adds to it until they feel like they don't need to add. I would consider myself probably more of a painter than a sculptor, but there have been songs where I have felt more of like a sculptor, to where I'm like, there's too much going on here. Let's get to the bare bones of it and see what I really want to say. You know, maybe this verse doesn't really need to be in there and stuff like that.
Great stuff, man. This is good stuff from an incredible young songwriter from here in the state of Texas, William Beckman. Guys, we're going to be back with more from William, including another song right after this message. Y'all don't go anywhere.
Hey, y'all. I'm Susan Ammons. Thanks for tuning in to ETX Rocks.
All right, so we are back. It's episode 313. Unbelievable. We are sitting in April of 2019, almost 3 years since we started this project, and smack dab in the middle of season 4. Super stoked to have William here for the first time ever in the living room. The next song he's going to do is, again, one of my favorites. It's called I Think I'm in Love. And Buddy Holly, for me, I hear Buddy Holly in the song. Kind of reminds me of that song, Every Day. Every day, things are getting better, or faster, or whatever. But yeah, it's got that melody to it. It kind of reminds me of that melody.
I appreciate that.
But tell us about the song and how you came to write it.
I actually wrote it on this guitar. I had just gotten this guitar. I was living in Austin, and yeah, that song was definitely melody driven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I came up with those chords and that melody, and I had no lyrics to it yet. And the lyrics came later, and it was just a pretty melody for me. I knew I wanted it to be a love song, but the chorus goes to a minor chord. If you wouldn't mind, if I could demonstrate this.
Absolutely, please.
I would love to. I specifically remember writing this song, and the chorus is very simple because it just repeats "I think I'm in love" over and over.
Which I love, by the way.
But the melody mimics the.
Yep.
So I think I'm in love. I think I'm in love. And that minor chord, I thought was a big part of that song because, you hear the chorus and you're like, oh, well, that's sweet, he thinks he's in love kind of thing. But that minor thing kind of brings sort of this, kind of weight to it. Wow, this is sort of a serious thing.
This is deep stuff,
this is a big deal.
Right.
Because I think I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. So that was intentional,
And that's what I like about the chorus, too, because it's almost like he's trying to convince himself back.
Right.
Which is, I think. And then at the end of the song, it's I know.
Yeah. So it has that resolution there, which I think is important. So, and those are things that, as a songwriter, and if anybody's watching this and wants to write songs, and all I can say is that there's no rules, no rules at all. And if you want to do this and do it professionally, all you have to do is just, sit down in a chair, put your butt in a chair, and write anything.
Yep.
Don't think about writing a big.
Don't expect it to come easy either.
But it's that work ethic,
right.
And that's what Radney taught me. And there's a reason for those core. There's a reason for everything. It's not songwriting's not just about writing lyrics. It can be, hey, let's go to a minor chord because that's going to give it this kind of seriousness to it. There's great songwriters that don't write lyrics at all, but they're great at figuring out a structure, melodically, and that look at Elton John. Elton John wasn't a very good lyricist, but he was a master at finding good chords and good very structure and melodies, and so don't let the lyric aspect of writing songs, scare you away, because you can be a songwriter and not have to be a word guy, and you don't even have to be a music guy. You can just be like, well, what
It's
if we
true.
could-
I know a lot of people who write songs that don't even play instruments.
Yeah, and so
and they can find a melody, like just by tapping their finger or whatever.
And there's a lot of different things that go into songwriting. Even the way you deliver a line. Some things sound cool. A specific line, just the way it's delivered phonetically. It's got something that's just really cool to it. And I keep talking about Jason Isbell just because I'm a big fan of his, but he stresses that a lot in his songs. He's got a song called "Traveling Alone," and he said that he thought that was cool because he just liked the way that sounded. He's like, it's got a lot of L's in it. I thought it was cool, like "Traveling Alone." It's got this ring to it.
Phonetically, yeah.
Yeah. And so that turned me on to the idea of like, wow, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Which is a good point in the chorus of this song.
Yeah, I'm saying the same thing
but
over
you're
and
saying
over
it
again.
differently.
Yeah, and then that minor chord really brings this
it down.
thing.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like this is kind of like an eye-opener kind of.
I love it.
So.
It's such a great tune, man.
Thank you.
A lot of people will look at this song and think how simply it's done because it is a repeating chorus, but it's not simple at all. There's a lot of thought going into this song.
Yeah, musically,
Yeah.
What I'm not saying lyrically, I'm making up.
Melodically. Yeah. And so it's I Think I'm in Love by the one and only William Beckman right here in the living room. Y'all check it out.
Angel, you look just like an angel. I can almost see your halo faintly hanging above your head. You amaze me, I swear you drive me crazy. One kiss from you makes me feel like the happiest man in town. I think I'm in love, I think I'm in love. I think I'm in love, I think I'm in love. Darling, your personality is so charming. I believe my heart is starting to grow accustomed to this feeling. You bring me so much joy, I just want to sing. I can hear the wedding bells ring. They're calling out our names. I think I'm in love, I think I'm in love. I think I'm in love, I think I'm in love. And I think that you are the one. I think that you're beautiful. Take these words that roll off my tongue and know that I'm being truthful when I say I think I'm in love, I think I'm in love. I know I'm in love, I know I'm in love with you.
All right, we are back once again. That was I Think I'm in Love by William Beckman. Again, that's the second song here on the show. We also are going to feature his current single at the end of the episode that we put out as a sneak peek on Facebook. That's called I Want to See You Tonight, right?
Yep.
Again, that's the current single. It's number 38 right now on the
Right
Texas
now, yeah.
Regional Radio Report.
Very thankful for that.
Wow, debut single, top 40. You've got to be over the moon.
I am, and I never, I just, I don't know what to think. I'm really blessed, and I really want to thank Jerry McDowell, who's my radio promoter, for pushing that single. And yeah,
First of many.
Yes, I mean it's an incredible feeling.
And I mean, the song hasn't been out that long, only a couple of months.
No, we recorded this, or we released this record in November of 2018.
Okay.
So about 5 months, going on 6.
The top 40 though, first single.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's going to be a second single from this?
Not
EP?
off of this record.
Okay.
But I've got a lot of other material that I'm, in the process of recording and putting out, and probably going to focus on that. And so that's going to be kind of more of the traditional country.
Yeah, I can't wait, because Bourbon Whiskey is one
that's
of
going to
those.
be out. Yeah, because I played that at the
Yes.
at the New Faces.
And man, when I heard your voice, we looked at each other, and she was like, "Who is that?" I was like, "Flip, I don't know," because when we were hanging out backstage, well, not backstage, but out back before we could come in, and it was, it was March, and it was really hot that day.
Yeah, it was.
For Central Texas, but we were talking to a lot of the men and women that you were up against in the Future Faces show, like Season Ammons is a friend of ours,
right?
And, a few of the others, and Season was like, "Do you know this William Beckman guy? He was amazing." I was like, "I have no idea who that is." She was like, "Are you serious?"
And
then,
Season's amazing. I'd known about her, hadn't met her until
she's
then.
incredible. She was just here too a couple months ago, about a month and a half ago. She's an incredible artist, but I was like, man, that's Season's gonna win that, Season's got it. And then you came out of nowhere, and then you performed at the award show that night. I was like, and so she was like, "Who is that?" I was like, "I don't know." And I was like, they better frickin' say at the end of the song or something, because I need to know. And they didn't actually say.
Well, no, and I was just kind of riding the wave. I didn't know how.
Oh my God, they gotta say who you are when they bring you to the stage, man.
I suppose so. But
so I had to actually find out after the show. I was like, who was the young man that did the Bourbon Whiskey song? And Dylan was like, that is William Beckman. And so we looked you up, and thank goodness we found you. And I think within 3 days I was messaging you trying to get your email address and get this set up. And it worked out, and I'm so super stoked that you were able
thank you
to
for the
spend some
invite.
time
It's
with
my
us.
pleasure to be here.
It's William Beckman. Now, if people want to find out everything about you, Facebook, social media, webpage, all that stuff, let them know.
Yes, so they can go to my website, which is www.williambeckman.com, Beckman with 2 N's.
And we'll link that in the description below for y'all.
Yeah, and actually, if they visit my website, all of my social media stuff is on there. So that's a good way to sort of find my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, and all that.
And there's links to your record on there.
Yes,
too,
there's
correct?
links to the record and also my tour dates. So, yeah.
And it's I Want to See You Tonight, guys, is the current single. It still has life remaining. Get your butts to the phone. Call your local radio station, even if you live in Timbuktu, if that's a real place. Or Mozambique. I know that's a real place. So you Mozambiqueans, call your radio stations now. Good job. It's I Want to See You Tonight. It's William Beckman. We can get top 30 out of this, I think.
hope so.
So let's
I hope
do
so.
that. That's the biggest way right now I think you could probably support William, is just by calling in and getting that single played. Again, you can get the album, the EP, on all of your digital media outlets like iTunes, Apple Music, all of those places. What I like to recommend, if you're a fan of Williams, you can help him out twice. Here's how you do it. Buy the record on iTunes. Download the record, put it on your device. Then instead of playing it through that media, stream it on Spotify instead, and then he's getting double the support.
That means a lot.
Pretty slick, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Pretty slick. Buy it, then just forget you have it, then stream it. And you can stream it on YouTube or Spotify, iHeartRadio, a lot of different places. Pandora probably has it as well. But that's the way you can help an artist twice.
Yeah.
Of course, catch a show as well. All the tour information is on William Beckman.
Playing all over Texas. So, and this summer is going to be really busy.
Hectic.
So.
Summers in Texas are crazy.
Oh, I love it though. But I can't thank you enough for having me. It's
Man,
my
you're an
pleasure.
incredible artist,
Thank you
man.
so much.
And we hope when you have the new EP ready to go that you'll come on back and
I
visit
would love
with
to.
us.
I'd love that
You have
more
an
than-
open invite for sure.
Thank you.
It's William Beckman, WilliamBeckman.com. We're going to put that in the description below. That way you can just click it right there and you get all of his social media links to his record, tour information. There's a nice little biography there on him as well. It's a one-stop William Beckman shop, and we'll put that in the description below. Guys, again, it's been episode 313 with William Beckman, first time on the show. It won't be the last, I promise you. If you're tuned into us for the first time, we definitely want to thank you for spending some time with us. We are located on all social media at ETX ROCKS. If you're tuned in over there on the YouTube in high definition video, thank you so much. But before you leave, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the little bell so you'll be notified when we have new content, which is at least once a week we put out one of these shows. Plus, you get live music performances as well from time to time. So make sure if you're a music fan, that you hit that subscribe button. Also, you can check all of our content out on our brand new website. It's www.etxrocks.show. It's not a .com, guys. It's .show at the end. You're going to get our internet radio playlist as well as over 10,000 hours of content right there at your fingertips. If you're a music fan and you haven't seen our webpage yet, what are you waiting for? Get over there. ETXRocks.show, and that's also in the description below. As we've been saying on this show for 313 episodes now, we want to thank you guys out there for always supporting live music of all genres and all styles, and don't ever forget,
ETX rocks.
that's right.
Get out of Fort Worth and come to San Antone. Spend the night with me, girl. I'm so tired of being all alone. It's been a while since I've seen ya, and right now I wanna give you some love. Get here as fast as you can so I can show you what I'm made of. Yeah, I wanna see you tonight, baby. I wanna see you tonight. Yeah, I wanna see you tonight. Don't waste a single minute, babe. Go on and hit the road. You can call in sick tomorrow. Your boss will never know. The truth is, you need a vacation, and I need some company. So won't you do us both a favor now, honey? Come on and visit me. 'Cause I wanna see you tonight, baby. I wanna see you tonight. Yeah.
legends and beyond. It's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks, ETX rocks.